Artistic Gamer 7 and welcome back to another speed build here on the channel. This one, as you obviously probably can tell already, is a little bit different. It is actually me renovating like an apartment space, which I almost never have ever fully like redone an apartment place. Sort of redid the penthouse, which was Lander's penthouse that I had here on the channel once before, but a penthouse, though it is technically in like an apartment setting and you have the elevator, it's still more closer to actually building a house versus building an apartment. There is some restrictions to it, but not nearly as many as like an actual apartment. So that one was sort of me doing one of those, but not really. So this is the first time that I actually worked in like an apartment, which I was like forced to work around the windows and some of the walls that were already there, but the walls that I could tear down, I did completely tear down. I can't remember right away which apartment space this is. I know it's the apartment across from the one that, oh, the dude's name has just left my mind. Is it Diego? Or it's something along those lines. He wears the blue suit that looks like paint's been thrown all over it. I know it's across from his apartment, that sort of section there. So I am going to put the rooms up on the gallery for you to download. If you want all the rooms together and to actually fit into apartment setting, you'll have to get that one exactly. I have my game technically loaded up, so I might real quickly go and see which apartment, like, building that is for you guys. Okay, so it is one of the Alto apartments in the Uptown section. So if you wanted to get all the rooms back together, that's where you would want to go to put these. But I had to load them up as individual rooms because apartments, you can't load them up as like a house, as you would a house. So I did have to load up each individual room, and I am going to post them up on the gallery. I totally forgot that was sort of it didn't cross my mind that you wouldn't be able to actually, be able to upload the whole entire thing when I was building this, because I am probably going to try to possibly use this, apartment building. I do actually have a sim in mind for this place, because right when I was building this, I was sort of coming up with some storylines and stuff like that for some of my sims in different series. I'm not gonna say who yet. If you can guess down in the comments who you think it would be, I will let you know that it's either from the Forgotten Eevee or Fame Trio series, since, you know, the Townie Life, it's hard to actually really know all those, because that's just sort of a little fun sort of series to do on the side, but it is from one of those three main series there, and I mean, I don't know, I may not actually use this apartment for them, but that, I was thinking of them in mind, and I am thinking about possibly moving them into this, so I did want to save all this, but I had to save every individual room, and like I said, I didn't think about that at the time, but since I already had to save every room, since I'm going to be adding it into my other world, because I have a different world that I build in versus the actual main save, where I have all of my Let's Plays and stuff at, simply because I take all of my CC out. And it used to be when I took my CC out and put it back in, everything would load back up. So like all the CC that the Sims were wearing and stuff like that would just appear right back on them. But at some point, and who knows, it may have stopped doing that and it now fixes it. But from what I can tell, it still does it. If I go into a world and I hit the play button and I save it afterwards, any CC that they had on was removed because there's no CC in, and even after I add CC back, it does not appear back on them. So, just not to cause like issues and stuff, I never build or anything in my main save, so that if for some reason, because I do have to take like pictures and stuff of these, so I usually just go ahead and take pictures of them in the build mode, that the build save that I have for them and things like that, or if I ever have to test something out to make sure it works for Sims to actually go around in, because some of these I do have sometimes I'm like, I don't know if it's gonna work right. So just in case I have any situations where I actually have to hit the play or go into live mode with the Sims and worry about it taking all the CC off, I'd never go into the main save with my CC not in the files. So I do build this in a separate file, and I had to save every single individual room, and I'm pretty sure I'm probably gonna have a lot of fun trying to put it back together. I actually haven't tried to put it back together, so if you do try to put it back together, just know that I haven't tried it yet, so I don't know how it goes. I'm pretty sure it'd be fine. All you have to do is probably clear out all the walls in the first place in the apartment location and then place these rooms down. But I will have all the rooms up on the gallery. And if you just want one or two of the rooms and you don't want the whole entire thing, that could work out for you too. You know, you don't have to actually have the whole entire thing if you don't want the whole entire thing. But anyway, let's get to the actual build and talking about it. Oh wait, the name of the build is up there. 100 Alto Apartments. I'm watching my video. I still have the old name on there. So, that's the exact location of where this was built. Just for you to know. But I am calling this like the splash of red apartment. I feel like there's a lot more red than a splash, but there's more of the tans, creams, and whites than there is the red that I went with that. And I try to give them names, and I also usually try to not lean so much on like a style, because I've mentioned this several times before. I am horrible at knowing what styles are what. Is it traditional? Maybe. Is it modern? Maybe. Is it Victorian? Could be. Is it like, I don't know, a bunch of other stuff? There's like so many, like when you, because I actually try to look up builds in like actual houses and stuff like that and use them as references when I actually do the whole house build. And like going in Google and you like look for houses and it gives you suggestions for like types of houses. There is so many types of different styles of houses that you could try to go for. And I'm like, I don't know. I can't tell. I'm just one of those people, I like something that I like. I don't know what style or genre it comes from or whatever it may be. Like, movie-wise, music-wise, it doesn't matter. I'm just like, I like it. So, I don't tend to pay attention to what style it is. I couldn't even describe my own wardrobe style, because one, I don't think I fit in any one wardrobe style. I'm pretty sure you can find, like, a week's worth of clothing for like 5 different styles. Anyway, but that's another subject. So, you know, I do usually try not to necessarily lean too strongly. I might put it in there, but I try not to go too strongly on that, and I just try to give them names. So that was the name I decided to choose. Yeah. Words. What? Anyway, so this is it's one of the bigger size apartments. I decided I wanted, if I was, because eventually I do want to actually try to redo a lot of the apartments. I will say I don't know if I'm going to go as crazy on the apartments of trying to change up my whole main save as I will the houses and stuff, just because I can see it becoming to the point where it drives me insane. But just because with apartments you have a lot more restrictions, so I am going to do some apartments. I'm definitely going to try them, and I'm definitely going to work at doing those things, but I definitely wanted to start with a bigger size one first, because that would be a little bit more closer to doing like a house and stuff like that. And I admit, some people like doing the small builds more. I actually like doing the large builds. The only problem with the large builds is if you make the really, really large ones, you start running out of objects to fill the house with. But other than that, I prefer the large builds. So, anyway, but with this house, I definitely just mainly tried to stick with the color scheme. Like I said, I don't normally go for like a style or anything, but I definitely didn't want it to go like too like old looking. I don't know how to describe that. I guess in some ways modern, but not modern. I don't think this would be considered modern. I don't know. I just had like a particular thought process in mind, and like I said, there was actual particular sim that I was thinking about when I built this place. So I was trying to go for, like, if they got someone to style their apartment or place, what would they give them suggestions? And it's the type of person that, you know, they wouldn't go into necessarily details, but just, like, make it look really nice, make it, these are the colors I like, this is, you know, sort of what I'm going for, I need a few spare rooms for other things and stuff like that. I need a gym, you know, and just, you know, go from there. I am not very good at explaining this at all, but, I also really don't want to say who I was sort of inspired, who I was thinking of while building this, just because I'm curious for anyone who does watch any of the series, if you all can actually guess who it is. That would be very, very interesting if you can guess who it is. And this part right here, hopefully my voiceover is matching with it, because sometimes I have to take parts out and then I don't pause the footage as I'm watching it, and I forget to do so, so then when I cut... Anyway, the living room set and the chairs, it was bothering me so much to try to find... This was like, this couch I thought fit the best for the style I was going for in my head and how I was wanting it to look. And trying to find chairs to go with it was a little bit annoying, because technically this set actually has, like, this chair actually has a love seat and a regular chair set to go along with the couch. But if you pay attention to it, the colorways and the way that it's done is actually a little bit differently on, like, almost all three of them. I think the chairs and the couch go together the best, but the love seat looks really awkward with the way, because it's almost like it's got a wood piece versus the other one is all, like, this plastic cushiony material with the chairs and the couch, and it's just, or like, you know, or the love seat has like a metal piece if I remember it correctly, because it's already off that. But anyway, the love seat just sort of off throws from the two things, but you could tell that it's technically meant to be with them, but it's just the colorways and the way it is, it's just sort of strange. Actually, it doesn't fully go with them. Like it's attempting to try to be like them, but it just can't quite do it. And then like the colorways with the chairs didn't fully go the way that I wanted them to either. So I think I chose the slightly darker chairs along with the white couch, but the white couch has that cream sort of color going over it as well. So like they do still go together and they do match, and they go with the color scheme of like the whites and creams that I was going for with the splash of red, which I think putting the red in there was really good. One, red is my favorite color, I'll admit. But with all these whites and creams that are here in the build, I think that red adds a nice touch to it and like sort of makes certain parts of it pop, and it almost gives it more of a words that I'm trying to describe gives it more of a like a unique feel, and also like a artsy not fancy. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I just like the splashes of red to break up all the whites and the creams. You get what I'm saying? I'm really horrible at describing my thought process, and also how just describing like a actual house in general. I'm sort of interested in how someone else would actually go about and trying to describe the styles of my house. Maybe they would do a lot better job than me. But anyway, also another thing that I do want to bring up with this build, I sped it up so you can't see it too awful much, and it was so few places that it got extremely bad that I only cut out the extremely bad places, but you may see what it looks like little glitches or like the pixels are off every once in a while when I turn the screen while I'm editing. Something about my computer, I've had computer issues all of January, and I'm gonna do a vlog about it, but I'm coming to find that basically any video that I recorded in January has a issue with it, and I've had to cut out key parts of it, or work around it, or do a awfully long editing process to fix it. And one video that I recently was trying to edit earlier today, it was so bad that I actually had to just scrap the whole video, which really, really irritated me. But anyway, something about, I think what was going on with my computer was causing it. It ended up, like, at first they thought it was a motherboard issue, but then I had issues reappear, and I had to go take it back, and then they was like, oh, it's a power supply. May have not even been the motherboard all along, but there is a new motherboard in there, and there's a new power supply in it. Now, apparently this issue had been going on a long time, but slowly over time, the power supply was getting weaker and weaker, and wasn't working properly, which makes me wonder if that's part of the reason why I started having issues, and the same issues with two different Elgato devices. And who knows, my old Elgato may have actually had nothing wrong with it. It may have just been the fact that it was a little bit older, and on top of a bad power supply, may have just the two, just, it gave out and wouldn't work properly because it was starting to run down and so was the computer. So, you know, maybe my old Elgato could have lasted a little bit longer than it did. But, so, yeah, there was some issues with that. So that's what's going on here. This one didn't have it too badly. Luckily, I was able to mostly save it. But if you do see it every once in a while, because there's a few parts here and there that I've seen that I didn't get, but they're not so bad, and it's not the whole entire screen. So it's not a big issue, and I don't want to scrap the whole video just for that, and it's just, yeah, no. But anyway, I really do hope that you like this build and how it turns out and stuff like that. Definitely let me know your opinions down below. I think it turned out pretty well. So there's some parts that are not as necessarily decorated as much as I've tried to do some of them, but also enough that I think it looks right, because I didn't want to overcomplicate this build. One, partially because of trying to keep a particular Sims style in mind, but also just because I wanted the red to be like the basically like the focal points and like the art side of it and like the difference and things like that. I didn't want to overcomplicate it too much by putting a whole lot of stuff around the walls and decorating it too much. Basically being simplistic in a way that was done very nicely and elegantly in a certain manner. But when it comes to the bedrooms, I have a little bit more personality showing in the bedrooms versus in the bigger rooms, which is what I normally do. But I did definitely actually do it a little bit more compared to in this one. But also, now that I'm seeing the bathrooms, I have one complaint that I have about mirrors. Mirrors in this game, some of them can move up and down on the wall, but the majority of them do not. They move side to side, but they can't move up and down, which is really annoying because some sinks have different things going on with them in the back, like on the back of them. So not all sinks actually fit with all mirrors, which is really annoying when you want to use certain mirrors or certain styles of mirrors and a certain style of sink, but they don't mesh together because the mirror can't move up and down. So the mirror's halfway inside the sink and it makes no sense with how it looks. So I'm like, if only some of these mirrors, and it's especially when you start adding CC, and some of the CC mirrors don't do it either, but I'm imagining it's because they're using some of the EA mirrors as like a mesh or a base or whatever. I don't know how making custom content like that works necessarily. I do know that usually you have to take a base mesh, if I'm correct, from some of the EA stuff, and then you can edit it to make your own new mesh, or just to sort of overlay or change the colors or put something new on it. So I do think in most cases you have to have like a base mesh that can work with EA stuff, but you can edit it from there. But again, I don't fully know how that works. This is just my thoughts on how it works. But some of the CC mirrors don't move up and down on the walls either. So it's really like, because there's like some mirrors that I want to use, but I can't use them with certain sinks because of mesh, and it makes me, but anyway, it's fine. Also, I got to include all the bathrooms in this speed build and actually still keep it around, keep it under 40 minutes. I actually have it under 35 minutes. So, you know, I'm like, woo! But yeah, back to the build. Saying things that I should have already said before. Obviously, when you first come in, there is a living room / study area, the kitchen and the dining room-ish area over onto your right when you walk in. And there is a gym, because again, I was sort of taking someone in effect, like in mind in this one. That's usually how I do all my builds, whether I just make up a sim on the fly or I use a sim that I've made for a create a sim thing in the past, or use a sim that's actually in my game. I do usually pick a sim specifically, or multiple sims, so I can give like personality to it, because I feel like if I have someone in mind and I have a certain sim in mind, I could give it some personality and actually do things with it that I couldn't do if I wasn't thinking of an actual person being there. But with this one especially, I actually am thinking about moving a particular sim into it, so even more so with this one, and that's why there's actually a gym in it. Now, as far as the other, there's 4 bedrooms in total. Of course, one is the master, and the other 3 are, like, can be guest bedrooms or children's bedrooms. And in my particular case, since I was slightly modeling it for a certain sim, this sim does technically actually have kids in my story, and I was modeling, like, designing this for the kids if they were to stay here, or at least come visit, or stay for a while, or something like that, and I was taking different kids' personalities, and I think I mentioned this in another build, and I'm not sure which one is going to go out first. I'm pretty sure it's the other one, and I mentioned in that one that there was a particular room that I was working on that was really irritating me, and and this room, the room with the red in it, the first bedroom that I'm doing here. It was for what is going to be a teenage boy if I do use this in my actual save. By the time I probably use this, it will be a teenage boy, and the sort of feeling, like, idea I had behind him, it sort of changed a little bit as I was doing the build, because I was trying to get a feel for the personality of this kid as I went along. But I was trying to lean more towards, like, sort of into music, maybe into, like, skateboardy sort of stuff, like, sort of that vibe, like a skater guy who likes music as well, and sort of, and he has, like, a little bit of an Asian descent, so, like, you know, he has that in his background, and that was the little mesh of a person that I was trying to go for, and I was struggling with his room. I'm very sure I moved his room around 3 or 4 times. I don't know if I think I cut some of it out. Maybe not. I don't remember. But I moved it around quite a bit, trying to give it personality and give it the personality feel that I was wanting to go for it. But I really feel like it is really hard, and I decided as I was going through, I was trying to give it, like, uniqueness as well, and I started going for, like, if it's, like, a skater, maybe they're also into, like, you know, a lot of the skate parks and stuff like that. You have graffiti going on around it, and since it's in the city and you can actually do graffiti, so I started going with that idea after a bit. But that's why the paint cans are there. Like, I know that's technically not spray paint, but there's not spray paint that you can get. Actually, I think if you use one of the cheats that shows the hidden objects, I probably could have got spray cans. I forget about that cheat all the time, and I forget to use it to actually get access to more stuff. But anyway, it seems like, especially for guys in The Sims, it is hard to find a lot of cast and build objects to give several unique personalities to the guy Sims. And yeah, there's a struggle for certain female Sims as well, because, you know, there's thousands of personalities that, like, dress senses and personalities and styles and stuff that people in real life can have, and that's what I try to go for with my Sims. But I feel like some of the more common personalities and stuff like that you can have, like, that you generally think for guys, if you're trying to do that, it is not very easy. I feel like there needs to be more objects and stuff to, like, I would be happy with any clutter objects, but particularly for leaning more towards, like, trying to give the bedrooms more personalities and stuff to it, and when you see the bedroom, you can think of the Sim and sort of get a good idea of the Sim before you ever even see the Sim. Or, you know, person, anyway. So, that's what I wish for. I want that so bad, and I've found it really hard when I do, like, the single bachelor guy who wants a nice place to bring back, like, dates that he's having for the night or whatever, but also doesn't really know, like, fully how to decorate, and trying to get some of those vibes across, I think, is not too easy. I don't know, maybe I just struggle with it because I'm actually not a guy, but I did tweet it out, and a few other people seem to agree with me, so, you know, maybe, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I feel like there needs to be more objects for, like, male Sims in general, like, more options. So, that is my overall thought. Like, maybe one of the future stuff packs or game packs have a little bit more stronger influence, like adding more stuff for them. But, that's something that maybe we can hope for. But yeah, I had a little bit harder time fixing up his room. And with the other room next to it, because his room still isn't the way that I finished it with right now, and I started working on the other room. I think that's because I realized that I didn't put a desk in the room, and I really thought the type of person he was, he definitely would have a computer of some sort to check out some of the things that are going on around the city and keep up with things and stuff like that as I was doing the other room, which is supposed to be like a girl's room, but the girl is more, not necessarily tomboy, but she isn't like super girly girl, and she's sort of into her games and things like that. And I did struggle with her room even a little bit, but, in the end, I think her room turned out really cute, and I actually liked how both of them eventually turned out. But it took me a while. As you can tell, I'm already back over on this room trying to rearrange things and get everything in there that I wanted. So, I think in the end the rooms did turn out well, but it took me time. And it took me a lot more time than I usually take, just because, especially on that one room, because I was wanting to give it, like, so much personality so badly, and I was like, I'm going to do this somehow. I am going to pull it off. Somehow. But, yeah. But yeah, then there is this room which is meant for, like I was saying, a younger girl's room who's not necessarily girly, and she's, like, into, like, she's more into, like, video games and stuff like that, but, she's not, like, full-on tomboy. Like, there's a little side of girly, basically me. Because I was very, at this point in time that this girl probably was, I was probably more tomboy than I was anything, but in the end, me as I have become now, I am girly and tomboy all at the same time. And a gamer. Then, I'm into fashion to a certain extent. So, I'm a little bit of everything. Like, I feel like if I was to fully decorate, well, I mean, I've got my room decorated quite a bit, but if I was to fully decorate a whole entire house based off of my style, I'm pretty sure someone would be very confused when they walk in, like, who lives here? Does someone with multiple personalities live here or something? What is going on? But, in reality, I'm just, yeah. Like I said, I'm not usually necessarily drawn to one particular style or one particular design or whatever. It's just whatever. I'm into art. I'm into cosplaying. I'm into video games. I have a lot of shoes. I'm into clothes. And yeah, there's a lot going on. So, and I also really like designing stuff. Like, some of my favorite parts about The Sims is actually designing the rooms and stuff like that. So, and one of the jobs I work at right now has a lot of furniture, and if I had money, I would just buy a bunch of the furniture and deco and actually redo rooms in the house, but I can't do that because, one, it's not really my house. Two, I don't have that type of money. But, but anyway. So, anyway, the words. The next bedroom was, like, a toddler's bedroom, and like I said, I was sort of styling it off of a particular sim. The sim, when I was, doing this, did have kids. Only had 2 kids, but I had the spare room, and I was like, well, maybe in the future, so there is, like, a generic toddler's room. I do have a theme of almost always making sure there is a toddler's room. I feel like I almost make sure there's always 3 rooms for kids. I don't know why. I don't necessarily mean to do that. I just think I automatically always make sure there's the master bedroom and then 3 extra bedrooms that you can either make into guest bedrooms or kids' bedrooms or studies or whatever. And I just normally always automatically do them into kids' bedrooms. I don't really know why, that's just what I do. And I'm really realizing that at the end here, there's actually a few more glitchy spaces than I thought. But I'm just gonna roll with it at this point. They're not so bad. There's some videos and some points that the little glitchy thing literally takes over the whole entire screen and it looks like a big giant pixelated mess. So, but I do apologize for that. I am hoping I've recorded 2 videos since my computer's had all things like the power supply fixed. I haven't actually got to edit those 2 videos yet to see if some of the issues that I had continues. I am hoping that those 2 videos are perfectly fine and they're okay and I'm good to go and I'm out of like the zone of having issues with my recordings, because otherwise I'm gonna go insane. Because some of the issues that I've had, the way that I had to edit my videos, literally about drove me insane. So, anyway, that's just a totally different thing. And I ended up talking almost during this whole entire video. I've done that for the last so many voiceovers I've done. I have full intentions of like getting straight to the point, talking about the build, talking about my reasonings behind things, and then just putting music for the rest of it. But I'm finding that I'm talking for so long that by the time that I get to the point where I'm wanting to stop, it's almost to the end, and I'm like, well, I might as well not end at this point because it's almost to the end. So you're stuck with me, hey. But yeah, the screenshots are about to come up and show. I'm just finishing off the master bedroom, which I wanted to, for general purposes, the particular sim I was styling off of is single, so technically once I actually move this into my world and actually possibly move them into it, if I actually do decide to move them in it, I'm probably going to change this room a little bit, but since it is the master bedroom, I did go ahead and try to make it look like a couple lived here since I also had kids' rooms, but that was mainly just for the video's purpose and also just sort of have an idea of a style that I may eventually go down with after maybe things happen. But anyway, yeah, so here's the screenshots. I really do hope you enjoyed this build. I really like how it turned out. My voiceover was probably really, really stupid, and I probably need to work on trying to explain my words better, but I've been trying to do that my whole entire life, and I have failed at it thus far. So, whoops. But anyway, let me know down in the comments how you think of the whole entire build. Let me know which rooms are your favorite, which one did you like the most, which room are you most likely to download if you didn't want to download all of them, and so on and so forth. If you want to download those rooms, you can go to my gallery ID, which is Artistic Gamer 7, and you can find them there. There is no CC in this build, so they should pop up without adding CC on them, so you should be good for that. As I'm calling this the Splash of Red Apartments, so I think I have like Splash of Red Apartments room blah blah blah, so that's how they're individually done. You can check out my Sims 4 builds playlist down in the description below, as well as my other Sims 4 series and my social medias, so you can go follow me on those, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.